If you are presented something, whether you think it's luck or fate or whatever, like you got to take the advantage of it. Like you can't let it go to waste. Opportunities come and go. Some are good, some are bad, and you have to pick and choose which ones you think are good. And you have no idea when those opportunities are coming. That is why nothing great comes easy.
Welcome to the Curious Corner. We've officially reached 1% of podcasts and make it to episode 21. So if you're new around here and you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. In this episode, I'm joined by Nick Corso, who works on the comics team at VeeFriends. Corso, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on today. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Great to have you with us. Okay, so before we dive into our conversation, could you please give a brief introduction for our listeners who don't know who you are?
Yeah, I am Nick Corso, born and raised in Delaware. Currently live in New York City, working for VeeFriends. I've been with VeeFriends for 3.5-ish years. I started with VeeFriends as a volunteer, worked my way up, working through the Discord, into customer support, and now I am on the comics team doing comics marketing and product development. So that is where I currently am with VeeFriends.
Awesome. And outside of VeeFriends, what are you?
A few things, pickleball. I liked staying active. I like competition. Since I stopped playing soccer in high school, I had a huge gap of I'm not doing anything that's competitive and physical. And so pickleball is not necessarily a physical sport, but it's at least in person. And so I picked up pickleball a year and a half ago. Really enjoy it. On top of that, I like just, exploring, traveling. This year I'm going to try to travel quite a bit. But I probably should have planned more. And yeah, video games. I've always liked video games my whole life. Movies, no TV shows though.
Interesting. Yeah, we definitely got to get you over to the UK at some point. So,
Yeah, no, that's definitely on my list. The definite trip I have planned is Alaska in the summer. I got invited to a wedding, so
damn.
that's been a dream place of mine. I've always wanted to travel to Alaska. It'll be warmer in the summer, so that should be fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, if you had to describe your younger self in a few words, what would they be?
Shy. Um, Quiet. I guess that's kind of the same thing. I was very shy and quiet. Um, I really kept to myself, and then just kind. Like I was always kind, regardless. Um, yeah, and I'll add one more word, and that will be friendly, which is going to be similar to kind, but I always try to be as friendly as possible.
Nice. That's very interesting. Like being kind and friendly, but also then being shy. How, I they're not contradictive, but they are kind of
No, yeah, for sure.
so what impact do you feel like that had on you early on in life?
Yeah, so I never so I guess I I don't know. I was always I always just kept to myself. I think in middle school definitely I was a little more social, and then in high school definitely went right back to shy and quiet. I don't know. I always just kind of just did my own thing. I think high school really exemplified that for me. But at the same time, if I ever did interact with if I had interactions with people, I'd always try to be kind and friendly. Like, um, but I would never. A lot of times, I wouldn't go out of my way to make conversation. It was just more like I'm just gonna stay in my lane and do what I got to do. And then that's where okay, I'm talking to my teacher. I'm gonna be super kind. Some kid, she just kicked some kid out or whatever. I'm gonna continue to be kind and friendly to her, or this student who's maybe getting picked on. I'm just gonna continue regardless of why people are picking on him. He's just another dude in the class. He's kind to me. Why not be kind back? Or we don't even talk to each other, but we seem like we're both kind people. I always thought that kindness wins. And so definitely, especially in high school, was definitely the time where I really tried to hone in on that and just kind of be friendly with everybody versus having this friend group, and then that friend group doesn't like these people, and it's just an everlasting cycle of hatred towards other people because your group is better than theirs, or what, all that kind of high school drama. So that high school definitely that's where I definitely showed those traits the most.
Got it. So it was like being kind and friendly to the people you had interactions with, but like you weren't necessarily the most like extrovert and like just meeting people.
For sure.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Like, if I got assigned to a table in a class, like, I'll be friendly with those people because I kinda have to be. Like, I can't just like, there's certain times in certain classes where if you're sitting at a table, like, they're like, "Alright, breakout group." It's like, "Oh, great." 'Cause then it's like, "Alright, well, you gotta talk to them." And then it was just like, "Alright, well, there's no reason not to be kind." Like, like, most of the time, nobody's just gonna, like, if they don't know you, they're not just gonna start saying bad things about you in front of you. Like, so as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm just a dude that's in their class. So, yeah.
Got it. What's one lesson you learned early on that you feel has stuck with you?
I don't know how to make it into a lesson, but I always learned that having a smaller friend group was always better for me. Um, Mainly because there's less people to have, like, because, like, friend groups always have, like, those little arguments like, "Oh, well, like, I don't know, just a whole bunch of petty stuff." Um, and having those small friend groups, you kinda just, like, or just a small amount of friends, even at that, is just, like, you have your core people, and that's what you need. Like, you wanna surround yourself with good people, not a ton of people who maybe some are good, some are bad. Like, I've always wanted to surround myself with good people because if you're with 5 people and they're all amazing people, you're that 6th person that's amazing as well. But if you're with 5 people who are really rude people, you're that 6th person in that group that is rude because you're with 5 other people who are rude. Um, so I've always that was definitely something I learned. I think probably in high school because that's where the school I went to from kindergarten to 8th grade was the same. And it was like pretty much the same people the whole time. So I built a lot of relationships with those people. And then when high school came, we moved to high school, and some of them were still in my same high school, never said a peep to me. Like, I was myself, like I said, I was still quiet and shy. Those were the only people I knew, yet we never really interacted. Um, and so that's where I realized I was like, all right, well, I gotta find new friends and friends that are going to stick with me and that I will stick for them. Um, and we just grow together.
Yeah, it makes ton of sense. I feel like something I also personally resonate with is just like, as you said, having that kind of core group of people, like basically quality over quantity,
Yeah.
and just like having that core group you can go to, where it's just to hang out or chill, or just like, have conversations, or if you're struggling with something. And yeah, just also like if you have a smaller group of people, it's just easier to build more depth with them and just, just like really trust them, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And plan hangouts with them too. Get everybody together. It's a lot easier to get 4 people together than 15, you know? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, trying to organize anything nowadays is impossible. And if it's like more than four people and you get added to a group chat, then it's just like,
Yeah, it's over.
okay, I'd love to transition into a part of your life which I know is very important to you, which is fitness.
Mhm.
What was it that personally inspired you to start your fitness journey?
Um, Probably my friend Brody. Well, 100% my friend Brody, but I'm sure there were some other factors. So shout out to Brody. He's my childhood friend. I've known him since 4th grade. So he went through that. He wasn't at that school the whole time, the kindergarten through 8th grade. He got there in 4th grade, transferred. He was like the new kid. The girls loved him. Um, he was he was just a kind dude. And of course, like in middle school, like everybody's just messes around. So he wasn't maybe as kind. I probably wasn't as kind either because it's middle school. Like that's just kind of how it was. Um, but in high school, we didn't necessarily fall off, but we didn't talk as much. And the reason why I say we didn't fall off because when we started talking again, it was like nothing's changed, right? So, um, like even though we didn't talk too much, didn't feel like anything changed. I saw him started posting like workout stuff, and actually, was it high school? It might have been right after high school. It was after high school, COVID year. I saw him just grinding, working out, and I reached out to him because at this time, like COVID was like I was gaining weight. I was typically around like 170, 180. At the highest I ever weighed myself was 222, and I was like, I don't want to be at this. I didn't like the way I looked, like whatever, and like I I reached out to him and I don't remember what specifically, but pretty much he was like, "You want to train boxing with me?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, why not? Um, and so I didn't necessarily get into weightlifting too much at that point. But we would do like we would train boxing for the workout. Um, and then I eventually started getting into the gym with the help of him. He taught me a lot of workouts and stuff. Still to this day, when I'm ever back in Delaware, like we will always hit workouts. And I'm still learning. Like it's nice to learn new stuff. So that's kind of how it all started. And then I mixed in some more physical activity with pickleball.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I've actually I guess I've started running. Probably a year ago I started running, and then I've been through that process. And now like 2025 is the year that I'm getting into a gym. But I'm not actually just saying that. Like I started on 27th of December, so I was very intentional of not waiting till January 1st.
Yeah.
Um, and so just like going through that process now, but I think agree like at the start as well for me personally, it was just like seeing a lot of people, essentially on my timeline on social media and just like the content I was consuming was all like fitness related all of a sudden. It's like the algorithm was trying to tell me something and it's like, okay, like, I want to start doing this. So, um, yeah, that's great to hear. And I'm now going through that probably initial embarrassing cycle of trying to learn all these, just like all these exercises and machines and not knowing how
Yeah.
they work.
The cool thing I learned, and I'm not too social, but like I'm still not like I still don't go up to people too often. But the one thing I did learn is like the people that you see there every day will help you. And this isn't just for you specifically, but for anyone. Like if you started going to the gym, you see someone there every single day, like, and you're comfortable enough to ask them, just ask them like, hey, like, I was wondering if I'm doing this workout right. Am I am I supposed to squeeze my back? Am I supposed to like whatever? And they'll explain it to you. I'm sure they'll happily like maybe they will want to finish what they're doing first, but most of those people who are there every day are will definitely help you out.
That's good to know. Yeah, I remember Dalton said something before, and it was along with similar lines, and it was like because he was saying about how you have these guys in the gym which are just like massive and ripped.
Mhm.
Like his experience was just like, as you said, like going up to people and just being like, "Hey, like, what am I doing wrong?" or like, "How can I be better?" And yeah, he said a similar thing. So that's good to know. It's very easy to put off our goals or delay starting new habits we want to form. What do you think that realization was for you personally? Context was that I think it was like over a year ago, you posted like a video on Twitter.
Right.
It's like
Oh yeah.
it's just after you done like your 5 mile run or something.
It was a long work day, actually. I'll explain that whole story too. It was a long work day. I was like, I just want to like exert my energy. And so I was like, I'm gonna go run a mile. And so I'm running, and I'm like, why would I stop at a mile when I feel fine? And I was like, I'm just gonna keep going until I can't. Um, like, and that's just I was just all in my head. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Um, and I think 2 miles in, I'm like, I can hit 5 miles. And And I don't regret it. Like, yeah, I was gassed. Like, I've never ran that much consistently. Like even throughout my whole soccer career, I never had to run. Like, the most they ever made us run at one moment was a mile and a half. So, like, I never had to run that much. And it was right before the new year too, so there was kind of like that feeling of like, I wanna get more physical. Like, I wanna get more physical activity. Why would I wait? Like, there's no reason to wait to start this now. I was like, I'm just gonna do it now, and just I cranked it out. I haven't ran that much since, but it did help me realize like I wanted to start doing more physical activity, but maybe running wasn't it. Um, and so then I eventually weekly now I do cardio at the gym. But yeah, the realization was literally just like it's almost the new year, and I still haven't started doing any like true physical activity. Like let me at least like do one this year, like one like solid one this year. But I really wanted to just start somewhere. And so I was like, I'm just gonna start big and then, maybe work my way back up to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's interesting because feels like I had a similar experience, similar time of year with the whole starting with gin. So it's interesting, but yeah, as I said, I think I just went through this phase of like consuming content and like people around me also getting into shape, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the moment of I've done enough consuming, and now I just have to start, and I don't want to wait any longer. How has your fitness journey influenced other areas of your life?
Um, it definitely wanted me to just like be more active in general. Like for example, like the smallest thing is like I'll walk up, I'll walk down the stairs every morning in my apartment, like 6 flights of stairs, just because it's like, hey, you gotta get the blood flowing in the morning. Um, I never walk up it because it's like I'm getting home from work. I'm like, yeah, I'm not walking up the stairs. Um, but like I'll do the same at work here. Like I'll walk down the stairs when I leave. And so besides that, like it's just so when I started that whole thing with the boxing, like I don't think the boxing training helped a ton with my weight, but I started just eating better. And so I went from 220 to I'm around like 170 now. I've been around this for a bit. So I lost 52-ish pounds, give or take. It depends how much I eat today, you know? But um, so like that definitely just helped me like feel like I could be more like do more physical activity. And so like it definitely like my fitness journey definitely helped me with wanting to play pickleball because I wanted to continue to stay active. And yeah, like it makes me want to instead of take a 20-minute Uber or 20-minute subway ride, I'd rather just walk 25 minutes or whatever because sometimes, traffic. So like it really it makes me want to like I don't know, it just makes me want to do more physical activity in general. Just depends on the day, right? Like if it's 20 degrees out, I probably don't want to walk too far. But yeah.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, obviously you mentioned at the start how you were very much like a big gamer growing up,
Yeah.
and I was also that and spent
Still am.
yeah, still am to a degree, but like spent many hours and like days. It's gonna sound really bad. Just like spending like very many hours and days just like in your bedroom and not going outside because I was so engrossed in the game. But like, so then compared to now, do you feel like through fitness and as you said, like the stairs or whatever it is, like walking, do you feel like you have more energy compared to like just being in your room all day?
For
Get
sure. Yeah, for sure. Like, when I came back to New York after the holiday, I wanted to start trying to figure out like how to eat better. And I came across like an Instagram video of like meal prepping, and that's exactly what I need because um at the office I work at, it's amazing, but there are way too many snacks. And I would always like not eat a meal and I would just like eat snacks instead. And so like that's the number one thing I've been trying to focus on is like meals because like if you eat good food and you eat like a good amount of it, like a good portion, a good meal, like you have more energy in general. Um and then even like let's say for example, after like a nice cardio day that I do try to do weekly, like I feel great after like maybe I don't have a ton of energy to want to go like run or something or whatever, but like I feel like I have a ton of energy. I have a lot of like I'm excited that I did it. I'm like this is great. Like I feel good. Um that being said, like sometimes even if I do have the energy and I get home at like 7 after a nice cardio, like might just bundle up and play some games or something. But um, I definitely feel a lot more energy when it comes to working out and like the fitness journey. And I think it's just because of different like different foods I eat. So I just kind of try to find those like little things. Like at the end of the day, like I'm still gonna eat ice cream when it's presented to me. But I'm gonna try not to eat as much. So things like that. I try to be mindful of what I'm intaking. Um, I'm definitely not at the point where I look at every food and be like, yeah, this has bread 40 or this has that. Like I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not at that stage yet. Um, but I'm trying to be more mindful when it comes to what I eat because that does reflect the kind of energy I have after.
makes some sense. What's been the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself through your fitness journey?
Um, I've definitely learned. I definitely learned I don't really care what people like think of me when it comes to like how I am physically. Because there's always gonna be someone who's better than me anyways, and there's always gonna be someone who's worse than me. So I've come to that realization, like, it doesn't really matter, like, how big my biceps are or how far I can run because at the end of the day, someone can do it better than me and someone is worse than me. And so, like, I've been like, I'm not saying that I'm content and fine with staying where I am, but I'm saying that it's okay where I am. like it doesn't bother me as long as I'm progressing. Cause like that's why I keep doing it is because I want to progress. So as long as I'm progressing, it's fine. Cause there's always, I'm never going to be the best one and I'm never going to be the worst one. I'm going to be somewhere. And so that keeps me going. Like it's always room for improvement, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense. Where I think about it is like you're competing against yourself.
Yep.
Because you said you can always compare yourself to others, and those people are always going to be better and always going to be worse. But if you just, look at yourself like 1 year ago or 6 months ago, whether it's just like the number of times you turned up for yourself and went to a gym, or distance or time or however you want to measure it, just yeah, competing against your younger self and yeah, constantly trying to be 1% better every day
Exactly.
and make those small marginal gains.
Hmm.
I feel like one of the biggest changes in your life within the past year or so has been you moving to New York. So what has that personal experience been like for you in moving from your hometown to New York City?
It was tough. It isn't as tough now. Of course, it's been almost a year. Like if it was still tough, that means I'm doing something wrong. Um, but it was super tough. I went from living with family and seeing family every day to seeing them maybe monthly. And that's just one part of it. Like I I have coworkers that I'm friends with here, but never really hang out with them too much. And so that was always so when I first moved, I was like, I can't wait because like I love my coworkers. I get to like hang out with them all the time. It just didn't happen. Whether that was me not planning or whatever. Um, it's probably partially my fault. Like I didn't try to plan anything, but I naturally thought it would happen. So that was definitely a very tough time. Like the first couple months, I was super lonely. Because I'm still a shy person at the end of the day, which I could start by saying that I'm not, and that'll help. But um, I just don't like I don't like going out to like a bar or like one of those things to try to meet people. Like that's just not like what I do. Um, there's of course better ways that I can come up with, like playing pickleball. I can meet people. Like there's just a lot of other ways, and a lot of those ways I just don't do. And then some of the things I do. I had that loneliness. I was able to find myself through religion, in finding Jesus Christ and giving my life to Him, and that has helped tremendously, um, because that helped me realize that I always have someone with me, regardless of where I am, and then that has opened me up to just being a better person, and in doing that, like recently, like I've been able to just randomly have conversations with random people, and then I'll never see them again. Like the most recent example was an Uber driver I had, and um, we like he picked me up in the morning. I had a pickleball tournament Sunday, and I was like, "There's no way I'm taking an hour subway ride to get here. I'm gonna take the 25-minute Uber ride for $40." I was like, I'm doing it. Like that to me, that math adds up really well. Like I'm like, this is a great investment of my time. And it was like we literally just started chatting right away. Usually, like I'm very quiet in the Uber, but we literally just kept talking and we had really good conversations about just like being a good human and all that. And it was super, super good. Like I've never had that kind of conversation with a random person that I literally just met ever. And it was with my Uber driver. Right before I left the car, I was like, "You got Instagram? Like, let's make sure we stay connected." Like this was something. Like this wasn't random. So things like little things like that have been happening lately, where I'll just like randomly like start talking to someone I've never met, and it's good. Like even if it's as quick as like a hey, how are you doing? Like just with a random person, and they respond, and it's like cool. Like that's progress for me. I never do that, and I feel like I have the confidence to do it, and I have Jesus in my corner to help me to help push me to do that. So that's been the year.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing that. I mean, yeah, first of all, like I never speak to drivers or just like any taxi
Yeah,
driver.
exactly.
So that's like not just a you thing, that is just in general, I think.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I also moved to a big city in London for a year, and I feel like I resonate with a lot of what you said. And like Monday to Friday, I was going into the office every day. But then, like in the evenings and on the weekends, I was very much like to myself.
Same. Yeah.
and like had to become very comfortable within myself, you know. And I don't know, I always felt that when I told like my friends from home, like, oh yeah, I live in London or whatever, then there was kind of this like conception that, oh, I must be like out in like the central part or like the touristy part like every weekend. And like there's many reasons why that wasn't the case, and money is one of them. But like that was just not the case at all. It was actually probably like every 6 weeks. But like yeah, the rest of the time I was just uh yeah, just doing my own thing and very much in my own world and headspace, which has pros and cons.
I was the same exact way. Um, like, I would get home from work, most days. Sometimes I'd stay at work later, so I didn't go home right away. But I would literally just get home, and sometimes I would just work on some more stuff if I was just enjoying what I was doing at that moment, or, like, I just wanted to finish that project I was working on or whatever. Or I would literally just, like you said, be comfortable. I would just try to be comfortable with myself, um, whether that's playing video games, watching a movie, watching videos, like, that's when I finally started. I took, like, a 2-month break when I moved from the gym. So I eventually decided, like, I'm gonna go try a new gym, and I did, got a membership that day, and then that's definitely helped me a ton too. It's like, sometimes if I'm bored at night, like, just go to the gym. Like, I don't know. But, like, yeah, what you said, being comfortable with yourself, like, that's definitely something that I've been able to get better at. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I agree with what you said as well. Like I was very regimented in my routine. Like my weekends are always like the same, but it was like, as you said, kind of putting some things in the schedule. And I was doing those things by myself, but like I had a routine, so I wasn't
Yeah,
going crazy or insane, you know?
exactly.
Um, so yeah, it's interesting that we had similar experiences with that. In the past, when back in Delaware, you said that you would never ask people to hang out with you because you always hated the feeling of rejection.
Mhm.
And you may have already answered this, or you may not have, but is this still the case now, or has that changed since moving to New York City?
It's definitely changed. I think I've gotten to the point where, I mean, religion, like I said, has helped me. It helps me realize that, like, everything happens for a reason. And so, like, asking is the best thing I can do, because if I don't ask, nothing will ever happen. And so you have to take chances. You have to put yourself out there. Like, I hate to sometimes, like, I don't wanna be the one asking, but, like, at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't, like, then you'll never even know the answer. So I've always tried to do my best to try to, you know, "Yo, you wanna hang out?" Or, "Yo, wanna play some pickleball?" Like, something. So I've gotten better at it. I'm still trying to find, like, some core friends here, and I think once I'm at that point, then it's gonna be a lot, like, it's gonna be a lot of that. It's gonna be a lot of, like, "Yo, what are you doing? Wanna get dinner?" Like, that kinda stuff. So, I'm eagerly waiting for that moment, and working towards that moment.
Got it. How do you frame rejection now when it happens?
Um, I take it as it is. I always think there's a overarching meaning behind it. I don't try to, like, dig into it too much, because you never wanna, like, try to overthink, like, "Oh, like, this person didn't wanna play pickleball with me because maybe I suck," or, like, no, it's never, like, when you get into that kinda mindset, like, you're losing, like, that you're wanting yourself to lose at that point. And so, like, it's opened my eyes to, like, understanding, like, people's perspectives. It's like, they don't wanna play because they said that, they're busy that day. It's like, "Alright, well, they're busy." Like, like, even
Yeah.
even if that's their way of saying they don't wanna play pickleball or do whatever, like, they're busy. It's like, "Okay, they're busy, cool." Like, I kinda gotten okay with just accepting it. It's like, "Yeah, they're busy, that's fine." Like, it's not like I can change that they're busy. Like, what am I gonna do? Tell them, like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't be busy?" Like, no. Like, so I've learned to be okay with that. Just like, it is what it is. Like, oh well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also think, personally, I think I'd done something in the past where I'd always like try and make, I don't know how to describe this. And it was almost like acting like the event is going to happen before like actually asking someone like I'd always imagine myself like, you know, say we go use pickleball because that's what we've been talking about. Like if I it's an easy example. But like say if I was asking someone oh about pickleball, but I'd imagine that I'm already playing pickleball with someone other weekend. before I've asked them. So like my expectations are just the wrong way around because I'm already imagining us playing pickleball together before I even asked you. So
Oh, I know it's no.
yeah, so like I I'd love to, but uh yeah, I've had to like personally basically just have zero expectations of something is gonna happen until we've actually like locked it in.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be hopeful. Definitely like there are some scenarios where I'm like, I'm just gonna ask to ask, but like I am not hopeful at all. But it is I do find that it is helpful to be hopeful. You don't want to be too hopeful where you're already like planning like, oh, like I can like we're gonna play pickleball and then we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. Like, no, it's like I try to just be hopeful, like, I hope it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I hope I'm presented the opportunity again to do it. Uh and if not, oh well. Like
Oh yeah.
onto the next.
Yeah, you know that I would literally come up with a scenario in my head of like, we're gonna go do this, and then we're gonna go get food afterwards, and then we're gonna hang and chat for like 2 or 3 hours before I even asked the person, and then I'd just be like more disappointed when they said no. And I'm like, damn, I had it all planned out.
I had it I went on a date with a girl, and the first date went amazing. Um, and I was already in my head planning like, "Oh, like, this is the next date, blah, blah, blah." She was always busy, and I knew this beforehand that she was just super busy at work all the time. Um, and and then we eventually just never did it. We never hung out. So I had this whole plan. I was like, we're gonna get dinner, and then we're gonna go to Rockefeller, and then we're gonna get ice cream. And like I was already like planning in my head, and that just never happened. It just made me. I was like, man, that sucks. But if I didn't do all that planning beforehand, then it's not as bad. Because it's like I just wanted to see where things would go. But yeah, planning it ahead like that, not always the best. But you live and you learn.
Definitely live and learn that one. Okay. Is there a moment or period in your life you associate with struggling to be patient, but eventually it paid off and led to something you were looking for?
Um, I think when I first started with VeeFriends, um, I was a little impatient when it came to like what I was doing. Like even when I started customer support just under a year into it, like I would get a little impatient because I don't know, it was just like I wanted to continue to progress, but I was still in the same kind of um I don't want to say I was like in the machine, but I was like just kind of like in that same rhythm of like doing the one specific thing. And I really wanted to like I just wanted to break out of it. I was like, I want to do something else. Like, but I started to just be patient with it because I knew that I was learning and I knew that what I was doing was important and was valued. Um, and so that I just knew that over time, as long as I just kept pushing and kept trying to take up opportunities. Like, so when I moved to New York, like the one thing I did was like, I'd ask May, I'd be like, yo, May, like I'm not too busy the rest of the day. Like, what can I help you with? And sometimes it's like, "Oh, I don't have anything, but I appreciate it." And then sometimes it's like, "Oh, I could help with this. I could help. I need help with that." I'm like, "Cool." Like I'm on it. And so I learned through being patient and trying to be patient that I was able to find other opportunities because I was okay with where I was. Like I was completely patient. I was like, I know I'll eventually be somewhere else. Um, and so I took up patience. I used that patience to help me realize like, the opportunity is in front of me. Like I just need to be content with where I am first. Cause that's the number one thing. Like if you're not happy with where you are, which I wasn't unhappy, but if you're not happy or content with where you are, like at the moment, like how are you going to progress? Cause you're so focused on what you want to do, but you're not focused on what you're doing and excelling in it. Um, and I think that was important for me because it realized like it showed like to Daniel, for example, who was my manager at the time, that like, hey, like, maybe I don't want to keep doing support, but like I'm still gonna keep doing the best I can while I'm doing it. And then slowly try to find these other opportunities that present themselves, or even that I have to go out and find in order to kind of progress.
Yeah, and as you said, just being in that office environment where you can just like turn around and be like, "Hey, do you need help with anything?"
Yeah, it definitely helped.
It's so much easier than just being remote.
Yeah,
So
because you can't just, like, slack someone like, "Yo." It's like one thing I did a lot was, like, help with, like, fulfillment for the card streams that we do. Like, can't do that at home. Like, so that was the thing because they just realized, like, I'm, like, I've always tried to be a team player, and I think that helped a lot of people realize, like, yeah, like, I'm literally here to, like, if I'm not doing anything, like, I'm your servant or, like, well, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I'm here. Like, let me know. And I'm like, I'm on the bench. I'm ready to be subbed in. Just let me know. You got a player injured or you only have 10, you only have 10 men on the field. Like, throw me in. So
that's cool. I like that analogy.
thought I've been on the spot, man.
Sub me in. I like that. Okay. Nothing comes easy. How have you seen this truth unfold in your own life?
Um, I think it's just like my story with VeeFriends definitely just has always stood out to me of like how all I did was like I didn't have like a ton. Like I had one small skill set when I started, and that was I knew how to use Discord. And all I did was like I just like grind it. Like that's all I did. Like I know that's like understating it, but all I really like all I truly did in my head was like I just kept doing as much as I could and just grinded. Like I and then I eventually was able to learn stuff over time and continuously learn and continue to grind. Um, because like nothing comes easy. Like sometimes you have a lucky moment where um, something just gets put on your plate and you're like, wow, I'm gonna have a feast. But there's other times where it's like I mean, for me, I could even say it was luck when I started, right? Like I joined the Discord at the right time. I saw that they needed volunteers, and I was like, "Oh, I know how to use Discord, sure." Like, I could have just not checked the Discord that day where and then when they were doing that, right? So, sure, there's, like, luck to it, but when you if you are presented something, whether you think it's luck or fate or whatever, like, you gotta take the advantage of it, like, you can't let it go to waste. Opportunities come and go. Some are good, some are bad, and you have to pick and choose which ones you think are good and, like, tackle 'em, like, make the tackle, and get a touchdown, you know? Um, and so that is why nothing great comes easy. Like, you just it never does.
Yeah. As you said, make the most of those opportunities when they do come.
And be ready. Be
Mm.
ready for them. Like, 'cause you have no idea when those opportunities are coming. Sometimes you have a kind of like, I think it's coming, like, you might have an idea like, yeah, this opportunity is gonna be opening up in, like, 6 months. That's not always the case. Like, you just gotta be ready you gotta be on your toes.
Yeah. That quote also for me just makes me think of like, as you said, those days where you just kind of keep showing up for yourself and you're not necessarily seeing the progress because you're so focused on the day to day.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of like zooming out on that perseverance and persistence.
Mhm.
Um, because you obviously believe, in the future in the long term, but like day to day, you're just grinding and you're just hustling and, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all you can do. At the end, like you can plan for the future. The future's gonna change. Like you can have your mindset on buying a mansion at 25 or 35. But like, I mean, first of all, that's never something I would do. But um, that'll easily change. Like you could be on that path and you have this like really good paying job, and then they let you go, or you get fired because you made a mistake that was detrimental to the company. Like like things can happen, whether it's like mistakes, happenstance, like they just have to lay off 10 people and you're one of the people. Like things change so quickly. You just gotta be ready. Um, and I think I've never truly had like a full like long term goal. Like even with VeeFriends, like someone asked me, like where do I want to be 5 years from now in VeeFriends? I was like, I have no clue. Like as long as I'm doing something that's meaningful, which I think is pretty much everybody's job here, um, and I'm content. Like that's where I want to be. Like I don't like even like outside of work too. Like where do I want to be in 5 years? Like probably not New York City, but like besides that, like I just want to be a better person. And I want to be able to help other people be better people. So, um, if wherever I am in 5 years is that like cool. I'm succeeding. And if not, like, I got time.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar with that. Like some people, I know their dreams are more like materialistic, as you were saying, with like the mansion and stuff, and
Oh
like
yeah,
the supercar. But me personally, like the past like year or so, when I thought about it, and, like really wrote it down and tried to like just spend some time on it, it's always been like, as you said, like wanting to work on something meaningful where like I'm having an impact and it feels like bigger than what I am. And then just like lifestyle in terms of like being fitter and stronger, like maybe making content, just like building and like having like meaningful relationships and people I really care about and supporting them. It's like those types of more lifestyle attributes, I'd say, as opposed to like materialistic objects or like milestones or anything else.
for sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people like at younger ages get lost is like they get lost in the materialistic stuff. Like, oh, I want to get a Lamborghini or whatever. Like, I'm sure when I was a kid, I was like, I'd love to own a Lamborghini, but like when I get older, I'm like, oh, well, that's like $250,000. Like, that's a lot of like that's a house, and like that is so much more important when you're wanting to raise a family than some car, you know? Because at the end of the day, like we were created to recreate, like biology, like that's what it is. Like humans are intended to recreate, reproduce, and that's through love and through family. Um, and so when you get caught up in these materialistic things, you're more focused on yourself and you're not focused on other people. Um, and if you're so focused on yourself, you're never gonna be able to love someone else because you're so in love with yourself or you're so in love with what you think you will do. That you're not focused on the greater meaning of life. That was deep. I never I don't know. But yeah.
Okay. Final question. How could you be more authentically you?
Um I think I've started doing it recently where like I kind of mentioned already that like I kind of already am at the point where like I just don't care like if someone thinks bad about me. Like I care if like it's a true like it's a good reason why they don't like me. Like, oh, because he said this before, or, like he did this. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe I should learn from that. But there's like at the end of the day, if it's anything besides that, it's like I have no reason to care about what other people think. Like I'll try to learn from but like what they have to say, but I'm starting to get comfortable with that. And with that, like I'm able to be myself more. Like I'm a very um like I joke around a lot with people I'm comfortable with. And like just recently this weekend, I like for the first time actually started like I knew someone for a bit and I actually hung out with them twice and like for like pretty much all day. And like I was like completely myself and I was surprised. I was like, how am I this myself? And I literally like this is the first time I met them in person. Um like sure I've known them for like 6 months, whatever, but like I was just able to be myself. And I think it's rooted from the fact that like one, they were presented to me. It was all random, right? Um, and so there's definitely going back to my religion is like I feel like it was purposely put in front of me to and it made like I was purposely made comfortable and able to like I was just able to be myself. And it was such a like it was really cool. Like it was a really fun weekend and it really put it into perspective that like I can be myself like whoever it is. Like doesn't like just because it was like this one moment, like this just goes to show like I can always do this. Like this isn't the only like this is not going to be the only time I can be myself. And honestly, like it was super cool. Like I was just like literally like right off the rip, I was just able to be myself. Like I just joked around a ton. Like something I've always tried to do since I was younger was like when I do interact with people, like I want to make them laugh. Like seeing people smile is like the greatest gift you can get. Like you make someone smile, like that's great. Like because when you make someone smile, makes you smile, or makes someone else smile. And smiles are contagious. So that's always been something that I try to do. But it's usually when I'm like more comfortable with people. But recently, like I'm able to just like joke around with people that I just met. Like even for the most recent example, I was at an orthopedic doctor um 2 days ago, and like I was just like small talk with the nurse while they were asking me questions, just like joking around, and the nurse said I was good to go. So I'm leaving, And then someone else was like, wait, you gotta come here. And I was like, and she was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, are you really trying to get me in trouble? Like, I just like joking around and like, we're just laughing. It's a good time. And then that's that. Like, maybe I'll see him again. Maybe I won't. But, I feel like I left my authentic self there. And if I see them again, like I plan to be my same self. Like that's one thing I've been focusing on. And I think I've been able to do it, which is, it feels great. Like it feels like I'm truly progressing.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Great. For anyone listening, if you made it this far, please let us know in the comments below. How could you be more authentically yourself? We'd love to hear your responses. Corso, thank you again for agreeing to come on and for a thoughtful conversation. For anyone listening, if you want to follow Corso's journey more closely, then all the links to his socials will be in the description. Corso, thank you again for coming on.
Ben, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow us, to leave a review, and to connect with us on our socials.